So, lads, today we're going to be talking about something that I find to be quite an interesting topic. And it is an NBA player who we just saw a video yesterday. It was shared by Jason Tatum. And for me, it's like, it kind of sums up the, what I would call, how people are pushing to go to the NBA, how much these playing in the NBA specifically means to these players. And when a lot of people are talking about situations where it's like, oh, some players feel like almost like, not feel like they have a God-given right, but it seems like they have a God-given right to just be in the NBA. Like we've seen it with Bronald. We've seen it with LeBronald, Bronny James Jr. And this is just a sign where it's like, these are the people that rookies are competing with. Like, not all rookies even are going to have a God-given right to be in the NBA. And it's not the case when it comes to any of the other NBA kids either. Like, as good as Keon Anthony is, there's no guarantee he's a league player. There's no guarantee these guys are league players. And before we get on to, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We're trying to hit 5.8k by the end of the day. We're only 10 off. We are trying to hit 6k by the end of the month. Right now it's 27, so it could be a very close. And our goal was 5k. We already hit it, which is mental. But either way, that is the goal. But when it comes to Jahlil, this is a video that went semi-viral yesterday from him, and it was shared by Jason Tatum about him playing for the Mad Ants in the G League.
Priority number one is to get back into the NBA. I'm Jahlil Okafor from Chicago, Illinois, and I play power forward and center.
I'm sorry, Jahlil Okafor has not played one. If Jahlil Okafor could play power forward, he'd be still in the NBA. I'm just putting that out there. If he could play power forward, he'd still be in the NBA.
10th season right now professionally. Year 1 to year 10, there's a ton of differences for me. Probably the biggest is just how to be a true professional each and every day, no matter what's going on. Priority number one is to get back into the NBA. First and foremost, I'm a scorer. I'm one of the best local scorers. Still to this day, I'm a veteran, so I have a lot of experience in this league, and I'm going to be a leader for the team and try to be dominant on both ends of the floor. I've seen a lot. I've been fortunate to do a lot of highs, a lot of lows, so just try to share some of my experiences with them and hope that it'll help them. Basketball means a lot to me. It's something that my mother and father both played, so I've always added a part of my life. It's something that I connect with my family or friends. It means a whole lot to me.
And Jahlil is somebody that has been good at nearly every level he played. I'm going to put this out there. I was team Jahlil Okafor over Cat. Again, I didn't see the way the NBA was going, and we're talking about the Karl Anthony Towns that showed up playing for the Minnesota Timberwolves was very, very different than the Karl Towns that played for Kentucky. That has to be taken into account as well when we're looking back at that. It's like Cat couldn't shoot the ball. Cat was known as a defensive big for Kentucky, and then he just came in shooting the lights out. But look, these are Jahlil's, this is a guy who can't make the NBA, and these are his accolades. All rookie first team, Puerto Rico League All-Star, NCAA championship champion, first team All-American, ACC Rookie of the Year, first team All-ACC, USA Today High School Player of the Year. He was the Player of the Year in high school. He was arguably the best player in college. He won a college championship as a best player as a freshman, won a World Cup with the U19, and it just didn't work out. He was traded quite quickly from the Sixers. He lasted longer than I thought in Philadelphia. He was injured that year. He was traded. He played his rookie year. Or if you guys don't know, he averaged 17 points a game. He averaged 17.5 points a game his rookie year. And then only once after that averaged over 10 points a game. And by the time he was in Brooklyn, he was averaging 6 points a game. He played for New Orleans, averaged 8 points a game. And then in Detroit, he averaged 5.4 points per game. This is a guy who's a superstar. And also, we're looking at it he could have played. He played 1 year in Zaragoza in Spain. Does it have where he played? Yeah, so he played 1 year in China. He played a little bit of time in China. He played 1 year in Zaragoza. And he's somebody that could have had an unbelievable pro career overseas. But the reason why these players stay in the G League and they play in Puerto Rico is because they want to stay close. They want to stay close to the NBA for the call-up. And that's the reality of the situation with Jahlil, is that he's one of many players. And this is the really big example about it. When I talked about Bronny not being good enough for the G League, and people were like, oh no, Bronny's more than good enough for the G League. But I'm like, the G League are where you find the hungriest basketball players in the world. There is no other league in the world where guys will make $30,000 instead of $1 million. It is the only league, it's the only time in life where someone will choose to make 40 grand, 30, 40 grand over $1 million. Because they're going for that dream of the NBA. Because again, maybe they see it, you know what, there's the 4 or 5 million payoff in the NBA. Or if you're Jahlil Okafor, you played your whole rookie year, you made a little bit of money, and if you're smart with your money, you're sorted for life. That's the goal. Instead of making a couple of million going overseas, he doesn't want to be there. But he's still hungry, he's still playing. And the amount of former high-level NBA players that are so hungry that they're still going to try. They're never going to give up on their dream no matter what. And that's the thing with the G League, is that the level of basketball isn't at the NBA level, but you will never find a G League player taking a playoff. You'll never find a G League player taking a night off, because if you are in the G League, you're there because you want to get to the NBA. So when everyone's talking about, and that's why I think it is easier to play only home games in the NBA than it is to play only home games in the G League. You can't be a really part-time G League player and help a team win. You can go down and drop 30 maybe occasionally if you're good enough. But you've got to... And heck, even if you are a part-time G League player, you've got to play with the high-level effort, which we don't see, which we're not seeing from Bronny. But it just sums up the point that I'm making the whole time, where it's like, you've got to really want it. To make it out of the G League to the NBA, you've got to really want it. If you only kind of want it, you're never going to do it. If you only kind of want it, if you want it, you're never going to make that jump. You got to really freaking want it. And I've always said it, it's like the gap between Bronny and being a rotation player. If Matas Buzelis made the jump from today that Bronny would have to make to just be good enough to make an NBA roster, Matas would be one of the 10 greatest players of all time. That's pretty much it. Like, Jahlil, hopefully he makes to the NBA, but the reality is his game is not good enough. Like some players, their game just doesn't suit. He is an interior scoring, slow big who plays no defense, who can give you 15 on any given night in the NBA, but will cause your team to concede 20. So he's never going to play. That's the reality of it. He's a player from a different era. He's a guy who's an all-star in the 90s, one of the best low post scorers we've seen. He is probably one of the 20 best low post scorers there's been maybe in basketball history. It's just an archetype that you don't need anymore. Like, it's good to be able to be a low post scorer, but a one-dimensional low post scorer is not needed. And that's the thing with the NBA, is you can be a hell of a player and you can still be not good enough. And that's the one thing people don't seem to realize, is that you can be superstar, still not an NBA level player.